So thank you everybody for coming. I'm going to tell you how Algolia for the last years have been building a culture of trust, and trust both towards people and trust towards technology. We are an engineering company, but there are always people involved. We start with trust by saying, I wasn't supposed to be here today. This is Sylvain. Sylvain is our VP of engineering. He has been with the company since the very beginning. And he's a very important person. He knows a lot of stuff. He's incredibly respected, and I respect him also. But Sylvain happened to plan his honeymoon during SaaStech. And just like that, he said, guys, I'm leaving for a few weeks, and I will not be in the company. And I would like to tell you how it's possible that a VP of engineering of a company like Algolia can just say, I'm leaving for a few weeks. The reason for that is that Algolia evolved a lot. From the early days, I remember when I met Sylvain for the first time, it was in 2014. That year, Algolia was celebrating to performing the 1 billion API calls to our infrastructure. We were like, wow, what, 1 billion calls, that's what we did in the last year. Well, in 2017, we are doing it about every 6 hours. And in 2014, it was unthinkable that Sylvain would go for a few weeks off. But right now, it's not even a thought. Like, let's go, why not? We are going to perform 90 million API calls by the time I stop speaking, and then it will be about 2 million by every single one of your questions in the end. The reason we have this trust is that the API calls and the Algolia servers is backed by huge infrastructure. Infrastructure that we have vetted, infrastructure that we have tested, and infrastructure that we have been refining for years. But this infrastructure is backed by people. It's backed by, today, almost 150 people spread around the world that are behind the Algolia service. Well, what are these people backed by? These people are backed by our values, our company values. Those are not just words that you put in marketing materials and you say, these are our values because the leadership decided these are going to be our values. No, these are values that the people behind the service live by. And if maybe one day you manage to be applying for Algolia, during your on-site interview process, this is how you're going to be perceiving the values the whole day. This is a photo from our interviewing room, and you see the values all day long. We keep them exposed because we really trust these values. And trust is one of them. But it wasn't always like this. Not at all. We started with one system and one person. It's very easy, right? It's very comfortable to trust one system and one person. You know, you develop your application, you deploy it to one server, and it works. Like, there is nothing wrong with that, it works. And you just know that the server has to continue running. And probably you have seen engineers talking about who has the longest running server, and it was like something to last for, to have a 1 year of uptime on your server. At the same time, we relied on one person running the systems. When I joined Algolia, I was giving the whole infrastructure to run, and I was doing it on my own for a long time. And it was me who was fixing the issues on my birthday, and it was me who had to prematurely terminate my date because I got paged because I was on call for an issue in an infrastructure that I was running. And everything works, kind of. But as we were growing, we started to realize that we are maybe missing something. And we probably all agree that running a mission-critical application on a single server is a bad idea. That's probably we're going to have a consensus in this. So why very often we are running mission-critical processes and systems by a single person? And it's my belief that a person not taking a vacation is a dangerous person for your organization. And we didn't see this at the beginning. Everybody in a startup rush, just ship. just sheep. Going for vacation doesn't exist. Vacation was the thing that was scaring us from the law that said you have to take vacation. No. But what we started to realize is that by people not taking the vacation, we made them the points of failure inside our organization. That the knowledge and the processes started to accumulate around them. But we had zero idea what is going to happen when they go away. So, although it might be counterintuitive, the most valuable people and the biggest contributors in the company became the biggest liability. Because we really didn't know what's going to happen when they go away. And so just like this, we have built a working business, but our bus factor was still 1. Are you familiar with the bus factor? It's like the number of people that needs to be hit by bus before the company stops working. And so in our case, it was 1 for a really long time. That's not a company that you can trust. That's not something that you can build your business on top. But we, serving an API, giving a service to our customers, we had to ensure that our customers can trust us. And so we started to look at things a little bit different way. Before that, we were trying to take a look how things work and how we can make them better. And at that point, we started to more ask ourselves questions. How does it fail? How we can break it? And what does it do when it breaks? And we changed our engineering towards testing for failure, and it brought us great benefits. And so we break all the things. And we went to our systems and we took a look at our dependencies and we kept breaking them until we understood how our systems fail. And if you think about it, like everybody likes creating stuff. Trust me, breaking the stuff is better. Because when you build something, you know how you build it. But very often you have no idea what happens when you start breaking it. And I broke the stuff many times myself. I broke the production of a customer twice in the first month of being with Algolia. 2 different ways, just to be honest, that was not the same way, but 2 different ways. But it was fine. It was a learning exercise. By starting to break all the things inside the company, we learned how it works. And by testing for failure, we also started to educate ourselves about what happens when you are crazy enough to run a single platform across 16 data centers and 6 continents at the same time. You really have to be crazy to do that. And we did that. And the technology is only the one side of the thing. The people are the other side, the very important side of the company. But we knew how to break the systems and we knew what to do with them. But is there a lawful, justifiable, and harmless way how to test for failing of people, the unavailability of people? And we took a look at it and until that time, a vacation was almost like no-go, like we don't want to take vacation. But what if vacation is just a reliability exercise? Sending the person to vacation is like shutting down the system, restarting the server. Because then you discover what relied on the person, what the person was actually doing. No one wants to have a super heavy structure. So you trust the people that they are doing the job, and they keep doing the job up till one point, you lose a track. And even the team might lose a track. And by sending people to vacation, we have discovered that when you come back from vacation, you have only one question to your team. What didn't work because I was gone? And if the team says everything worked, great, you did a great job. But if the team comes with a list of projects which get stalled, list of issues that couldn't be resolved, it's your fault. You created a single point of failure in yourself, in a human being. The great thing about this is you come from vacation, you're ready to work, you fix all the stuff, you make the documentation, you improve the systems, and then comes the best part. You have to test it again. So you have a motivation to go for vacation again. But no matter how you try, issues will always happen. And due to our values of candor, care, and trust, very early on in the history of Algolia, we have established a culture of doing postmortems. And if you are trying to implement this thing in an established company, it can be a culture shock. But for us, these values were natural. And so at the moment, when the incident is over and the heartbeat goes back to normal and everybody is calm and everything is fixed, the people involved in the incident, they assemble all together and they start discussing what happened. And it goes into very detail. You have to reconstruct the timeline of what happened, second by second, minute by minute. And there is nothing like, this code is my baby. This system is my baby because I designed it. You cannot say it was caused by this system. No, at that moment, your code has to become your third cousin. You don't care. And we learn that people have good intentions. And we need to help them do their job. And through the blameless postmortems, we have established a way how to resolve issues, how to learn from our own mistakes, and we give the people a safe space to say, yes, I did this because I thought this is the right thing. That in the end it brought the system down. Well, we cannot blame you for not knowing, but we can ensure that the next time you try to do something similar, we will prevent this. And so, as the company was growing and we kind of solved the technological issues and we had ways how to deal with technological problems, our engineering team grew from 10 engineers to about 50. And we started to overload people. We started to overload our VP of engineering, Sylvain, remember from the first slide. His week, his calendar was just one-on-ones with the engineers. He was not doing anything else. That was absolutely unacceptable. But for a long time in the company, we have been saying, we will never have managers. We never want to have a structure. We never want to have someone telling us what to do. But that's not how we saw the managers coming to the environment. But I was supposed to come to this environment, become a manager, to a bunch of engineers that said, we will never have managers and we don't want managers. And so, in the graph theory, there is this very nice concept of isomorphism, that you can have two graphs that share the same components. They share the same nodes, and they share the same edges. But you can look at them a different way. So if you look at these two graphs, the one on the left side is very difficult to reason about how the nodes communicate together. But you see that the communication is very dense. The one on the right side is very easy to reason about, but the communication seems very sparse. But they are isomorphic, they are the same. We have just stretched the graph to something which is a little bit easier to understand. And so what we were looking at that point was, how can we explain to people that the manager is not going to tell them what to do? That the manager is going to be there as a person to trust, and it's not going to be there as a person to tell them, do it like this and do it like that. And so we took the traditional structure that you have probably seen before, and it's very scary, because every single point seems to be the point of failure. But this was totally against our culture of designing everything reliable, making the teams reliable, making the infrastructure reliable, trusting the culture and trusting the people. So we looked at it a little bit different way. And if you take these two graphs side by side, they are expressing the same thing. Just in the first case, it's very difficult to imagine that the two nodes on the bottom actually talk together. It doesn't really work. Like, that's not how we think about this. But in the extreme, with the new one, you can imagine that the nodes start to talk to each other. And this is how we are building our teams. The managers are not there to tell them what to do. The managers are not there to stop them. The managers are there to be the reference points. The managers are there for the people to trust, but still, the people can talk to each other. We have a huge culture of ownership. And because of our nature, how we create groups ad hoc, we needed to have the ownership distributed. In the first graph, you see that the ownership goes from the top to the bottom, or you get to the smallest triangle that you can. On the very right side, you see that the ownership can pop anywhere. And that's fine, and that's great. Because by removing a single point, you will not break the thing apart. And this is what we have been doing for the last 3 years that I have been with the company. It works pretty well. We have scaled the engineering team from 4 engineers to today close to 80 engineers. We have managers. And the people are okay with having managers. And it's fine, because they don't see them as showstoppers. So if there is something that's from the last 20 minutes that I have been talking, you can take to your companies and try to implement very early on and not to do the same mistakes that we have done. It's that whenever you are building software, make it resilient since the day one. Think about how it's going to fail. Not how it's going to work, but how it's going to fail. And by putting the resiliency in the software, not in the hardware below, you will get much more freedom. Start doing postmortems about all your incidents and keep them blameless. It will be great for you, it will be great for your culture, it will be also great for your customers, because you will be able to tell them, all right, didn't work, here is the postmortem, this is what are we going to do afterwards. We had some crazy outages. And the end of it, we sent the customer the postmortem, and they were like, okay, fine. We understand the issue happened. Right now, we understand exactly the issue happened. We read it, and we said, like, okay, we cannot blame you for this, but we know what are you going to do. And suddenly, we started to create also trust towards our customers. Design resilient architectures. It's 2017. You can build stuff in a way that it will be able to tolerate a lot of stuff. Long gone are the days in Algolia that we were afraid to reboot a single server, or the rack, or the data center. There are no servers that we just walk silently around, like, just please don't touch this one. We cannot touch this one, because if we do, like, things are going to break apart. This is the comfortable environment that you can be in. This is where you can inject mistakes, where you can break the stuff. Take vacation. I know it can be against about the way that you are doing stuff, and that primarily when you are very early on, the drive that you have to deliver and to ship something. But think about the downsides of you being super important in the company and not taking the vacation. At one point, it becomes unbearable, and the longer you wait, the more difficult it is going to be to then give the information to someone else and to start spreading it around the company. Make the teams autonomous. So this is what we have been super focused when we have been designing stuff, making them distributed, including our teams, and making them autonomous. Then they are like a company on their own. They can work on their projects, they organize the way that they want, they use the tools that they want, and they talk to whoever they want. No one is there to stop them. And start from hiring. If there is something which is key to all that we have built, those are the values that we have. The values that we can always refer to. Whenever you are not sure, you can always refer to the values. So choose your values carefully, choose them with your people inside your company. Don't say, this is how we think it should be. Ask the people what they think are the values of the company, because that will become the reference point for them at the moment when they are autonomous and when they are not sure about how things should be done. Thank you for your time. I hope I brought you at least a little bit of value. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.